Is this on? Yes, hello. Hello, I'm Chris, and I'm suffering from some cognitive dissonance. I'm hoping I can get some help, some counseling help. So much of my career, my professional life has been around sort of just what this last conversation was around. How do we get those conversations to be had in different settings and sort of bringing democracy or reviving democracy at different levels? And yet there was something that was said in the Just Transitions, and I'm forgetting the name of who was our distance panelist from BC? Seth, where he made this analogy to World War II, and he made it very clear that one of the interesting things that happened in World War II in Canada is that even after the war was declared, people were not interested in going to war. Most people were against the idea of going to war, and he said, we forget that there's a role of leadership here, that some of those leaders then found a way to sort of mobilize people to say, yes, this is what we need to do. So my cognitive dissonance is, yes, we need to have this as grounded in community and grounded democracy, but we also need something. We need to talk about leadership. And right now it sort of feels like, we just heard a few names thrown around of the types of leaders we have which are not supportive of these conversations. So I guess my question is, how do we decarbonize leadership?
Yeah. The reason I constantly talk about creating the case for change, and the reason I think that so many people mention having it grounded in, I guess, grassroots or community activism, is that when something gets to snowball enough to a large enough popular consensus, then it becomes easier for leaders to stand behind it. So, and the reason also I mentioned that when you see a progressive politician in the province trying to do something and you're not sort of showing up to back them up, then it can fail because the majority opinion, the popular opinion, has not progressed to the level that that leader can risk everything to bring up the thing that they want to talk about. So that's from my experience. So that's one side of it. And the other side of it is, of course, we need to elect people who want to do these things to begin with. So making climate action at the center of the next federal election, for example, is going to be really important. We cannot have a prime minister who fails to recognize that climate change is something that you have to do more than give a home heating tax rebate or whatever it is that he wants to do. So I will be trying to be active in the upcoming election because I think that that's important. Decarbonizing leadership is going to involve building capacity in communities as well to get more people involved in elections and get more people that are confident enough that they want to run, and building it up that way, but also like building the grassroots or the groundswell momentum for change is a super important and doable thing. Everyone here is capable of doing that. So those are some of my thoughts. Yeah, and in your communities, if you see that there are a lot of people who, example, are afraid of speaking to the media and need some media training, well then hire a media training facilitator to come in and run a session with 20 or 30 people and develop these skills together. So another thing that happened in World War II is that communities really rallied together to get up and do the things that needed to be done and build skills, start new co-ops, do all kinds of community transition work. We need to do that now. So everybody that that has something important to say, like help them say it, like build the capacity, create the space, boost their signal like Amy had mentioned. There's a real importance to doing that, but also like calling into open line, doing all this stuff. Anyway, those are some of my specific, I guess we identified the what, now the how, and the positive consequences of that might be that a lot more people start to really believe in the cause. I don't know, those are my thoughts anyway.
I think there's something that we don't think about enough. I like to call it invisible leadership, and it's a lot of leadership that's out there that we're simply not paying attention to. We held a session in this conference called Indigenous Leadership on Climate Action. And the reason we did that is because we wanted to applaud and profile and celebrate the incredible leadership that's already being shown by a number of entities and rights holders in this province. We had some incredible presentations. The folks at Nunatjiavut, for instance, are installing high-efficiency wood furnaces across like hundreds of homes in their territory. They're also leading the development of community-driven renewable energy projects. To the south, in Nunatuavut, they've built a community-driven energy planning process. They've hired 14 youth locally in their territory to lead sustainable energy transitions in their own communities. a gentleman from Halapu First Nation and gave an incredible presentation of one of the most comprehensive climate monitoring programs I have ever seen in my life that's happening right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So I think we need to take a responsibility, a personal responsibility, to try to seek out and find a lot of the leadership that's already happening, including by groups like Carrie's, the Social Justice Cooperative, and the group Amy represents, the Labrador Land Protectors. And we need to attach ourselves to those leadership efforts and support and amplify them in whichever way we're asked. So I do think a lot of leadership is already out there. We just have to find it.